How to plan and photograph the Comet C 2023-A3 Tsuchinshan-ATLAS step by step. Hello, PhotoPills, Rafael, the bar here. The Comet C 2023-A3 Tsuchinshan-ATLAS has been predicted to have a magnitude of 6 in October, which means that it might be visible to the naked eye. We'll see if this holds true, because you know, with comets you never know. But if one thing is sure is that the comet will be captured by your camera if the comet doesn't disintegrate before. Your camera will capture it. So if you wish to photograph the comet, the first thing you need to figure out is where and when it will be visible. You need a plan. So long story short, let's see how to plan your photo of the comet, the gear you need, and how to photograph it step by step. On both the northern and southern hemispheres, from October 1st to October 9th, the comet has been predicted to be visible in the east, getting higher and higher in the morning, before sunrise. And you'll find it more or less in the direction of this thick yellow line you see on the PhotoPills map. This shows the sunrise direction, so there you see the comet, more or less. And from October 10th, it has been predicted to be visible in the west, very close to the sunset direction, the thick orange line you see on the map, and after sunset, getting lower and lower in the sky, setting. The comet will make its closest approach to Earth on October 12th. So October 12th and the days before and after are great days to photograph it. So you go to PhotoPills and you set the date to October 12th, you'll have the sunset direction on the map, so you know where the comet more or less will be setting to. So after sunset it will be easier for you to locate the comet, you can miss it. Well, now that you know when and where you can photograph the comet, so you can plan your shot, let's see the gear you need to photograph. Well, to photograph Comet C 2023-A3 Tsuchinshan-ATLAS, you need your camera, of course, a sturdy tripod and head, and a shutter release or an intervalometer. Because the less you touch the camera, the better, because as you know, when you touch the camera, you introduce vibrations into the system, and vibrations produce blurry images. So use an external intervalometer or a shutter release. The lens choice depends on the photo you want to take. One option is to use a wide-angle lens. If you wish to introduce the landscape in the photo, use a focal length between 14 and 35 mm. And use the comet if it's visible and if you can really capture it with a wide-angle lens, which I doubt, but you never know, maybe it's so bright that you can even see it, like it happened with the Neowise comet. This is a shot that Untitled took, but the comet was really powerful. This comet in October has been predicted to be less powerful than the Neowise, so I don't know if you'll be able to capture it with a wide-angle lens, to tell you the truth. But we'll see. And another option is to use a longer focal length to capture closer view of the comet. Also, you could take a long distance shot with the comet with a longer focal length, 100, 200, 300, 500 mm, and have the comet align with an interesting subject as it sets. So in this case, the longer the focal length, the better. You can even use a telescope. Another cool piece of gear that if you have it, use it, is a star tracker, an equatorial mount, because it will help you shoot much longer exposures and thus capture much detail in the comet tail. Great, now that you have the plan and the gear you need, let's see how to photograph the comet step by step. And both when you're using an angle lens and when you're using a telephoto lens. Let's do it. Let's imagine that you wish to photograph the Comet C 2023-A3 Tsuchinshan-ATLAS on October 12 after sunset. On the shooting date, arrive 1 hour or more before the shooting time at the right shooting spot, at the planned shooting spot, the red beam position, and set up your tripod and your camera at the shooting spot. And make sure that everything is stable. Once at the red beam position, you can always use the AR button to visualize where the sun will be setting exactly, so you know more or less where the comet will be also setting afterwards. Now choose the focal length that gives you the framing you want and set the camera to manual mode, because you'll be shooting in low light conditions, and set a wide aperture of f1.4 or 2.8. Use the widest you can. Regarding the shutter speed, the exposure time, use the longest exposure time possible that keeps the comet as a dot in the sky and not as a trail. You can try 10 seconds to 20 seconds and see the difference. Or you could also use the Spot Stars calculator in PhotoPills and use the exposure time that you'll be using when photographing the Milky Way, for example. With these settings that you see here, for example, 18 seconds, to prevent the comet from trailing in this case. Great, let's go back to the planner. Also, if you're using a star tracker, you'll be able to shoot much longer exposures to try to capture the powerful tail of the comet. And in this case, you'll need to take an extra photo for the foreground to blend it afterwards in post with the photo of the sky, with the photo of the comet. Now, given the aperture and shutter speed that you've set, choose the ISO that gives you the right exposure. Probably as it gets darker and darker, you'll have to push the ISO up to 800, 1600 or more. Where to focus? That's a very good question. Well, we have a few options. If you have an interesting subject in the foreground, I recommend you to focus on your subject. And you can use the depth of field calculator here to calculate the hyperfocal distance and make sure that your subject falls behind the hyperfocal distance, because when you're focusing at one subject that falls behind the hyperfocal distance, then infinity looks acceptably sharp. So in theory, the comet will look acceptably sharp too. It is visible, something that I doubt with this wide angle lens shot. Okay, back to the plan again. And if you want to have the comet super sharp, may focus on the comet, but be aware that you lose a bit of sharpness in the foreground. Also, you could use the focus stacking technique. Just take multiple shots, focusing on different spots. So at the end of the day, you have multiple photos and you can use them in post to have photo tack sharp from front to back. And finally, if it gets darker and darker and you get a too dark foreground, you can always use an LED panel where you can put it super far away and it has very low intensity to simulate the natural light and get a nice light on the foreground on your subject. This is the low-level lighting technique. And when ready, take a few test shots and see that everything looks good, that the focusing is good, and that the exposure is right. If not, then make the necessary adjustments. But again, as I said, I don't think this comet will appear in a wide-angle lens shot, so let's see how to photograph it with a telephoto lens. Let's go! If you wish to shoot a close-up of Comet C 2023 A3 Tsuchinshan-ATLAS, use the longest focal length you have available, 300, 400, 500 or more, and use the widest aperture you can to capture as much light as possible. But if you use a star tracker, maybe it's a good idea to close the aperture by 1 or 2 stops to get a better quality image. For example, from f2.8 to f4. Where to focus? Well, in this case, super easy, just focus on the comet, because you want it as sharp as possible. Now set the shutter speed to ½ second or 1 second, and don't go over 1 second because due to the rotation of Earth, the comet will be blurry. Of course, this is not true when you're using an equatorial mount or a star tracker. In this case, test different shutter speeds, from 1 second to 10 seconds, and check the resulting image. Finally, based on the shutter speed and the aperture, set the ISO to 800, 1600 or more. But if you're using an equatorial mount, probably you won't need to push the ISO above 800. Of course, it all depends on natural light in the scene. And take a test shot and check that the image looks good. And finally, take between 15 and 20 images to stack them in post and get a much detailed tail of the comet. Okay, this is how you can photograph the Comet C 2023 A3 Tsuchinshan-ATLAS. And as always, if you have a question, leave a comment in the video. And if you wish to learn more how to photograph the comet or photograph any other astronomical event, please download and read and study well our super detailed photography guides, and I'll leave a link to the guides in the description of this video and the first comment below. And as always, if you like this video, give me a like, subscribe, and I'll see you next Wednesday in another video. And remember, I had the power to imagine, plan and shoot legendary photos. Bye!